So welcome everybody. Today is March 28th, our Harmonic trader Gartley Group, and I want to start out just today looking at the pattern. Now we're looking at Gartley in the Dow Mini on the 4-hour, and want to just focus today on the Gartley pattern itself. We are really defining, this is one of the first patterns that was ever put out there. And we've been talking about this pattern the last week in our live sessions. And I want to talk about what makes this a Gartley, relate this to what's happening right now. Markets have been pretty crazy. But this pattern tells us an enormous amount of what's happening. This is the Dow Mini Futures on the 4-hour. Now, the reason why it's a Gartley is because of the B point at the 618. And that is pretty much the first defining rule of all harmonic trading measurement strategies, looking at the B point in these M and W structures. That sets up the ABCD, just a basic equivalent, A to B, C to D, where each leg is symmetrical both in time and distance. So for Dow Mini right now on the 4-hour basis, we know that this entire zone, this pattern completion point, one, it's already completed. And that tells us that the zone right now and this area, especially that 786 retracement at 23,700, is critical make or break support. Still early in the structure, but because of the B point is at a 618, this type of pattern here, if this is going to work out in the Dow, it has to be at this 23,000 level. We fail, as many of you know, this can turn into a much larger extension pattern. I'm not going to talk about that today. I really want to just focus on this zone. There's some other things that we can look at, and this is just a brief mention and importance of confirmation of what separates harmonic patterns, random structures from harmonic patterns. We have the Gartley. We know it's a Gartley pattern because of the B point, and that's at a 618. And that is within a 3% tolerance. That's also really critical. So this M structure, this starts out as extreme low, A to B, C to D. That B point has to be plus or minus 3%. So this is within the 58.8 to 64.8 range. It's almost exactly at the 618. Now that sets up everything we want to look at in the zone, and then the final part, some of you know that RSI is an excellent measure developed by Wells Wilder, and then the other indicator that I've developed recently is Harmonic Strength Index. And we utilize those two primary measures in the zone, and that's what we have right now in the Dow. So really important to recognize, one, that the Gartley is what it is. And it is not a valid Gartley is not as common as most people think. I think it's just a common term. It was probably one of the first terms thrown around, but it had a very vague application. So a lot of my work, initial work that I did, especially with my first book, right here in the Harmonic Trader, was to define the rules that separate these structures, this M formation, into an exact pattern, and how to separate those. So a lot of people talk about and cite that Gartley book, and the Gartley book does not have any Fibonacci ratios, and I'm not going to get into that today, but more so of understanding why this B point is so important. A lot of it has to relate to the exact ratios that we're utilizing, especially the 618 ratio and other measures, along with the ABCD pattern. These are some of the pages from the original book. But again, this defines a zone. And this is different than a bat structure that goes to an 886. So we're looking at the Dow right now. And this is literally this morning already been all over the map. We broke down everything since the February low into this zone. And this thing is starting to stabilize in that area. Let's look at a 5-minute. And so there's no other area that we are considering here in terms of looking lower, anything that we're not going to fudge this. This is a definitive Gartley on the 4-hour. We are consolidating in that area, but beyond this or underneath this area, we don't make allowances for a little beyond the stop loss limit. And that's the other important factor here is where once we've established this immediate low, known as the terminal bar, that Gartley structure is kind of pegged in. So what we're looking at going forward is signs of confirmation, signs where our indicators are maybe turning up for us. We do have some of that on a 4-hour chart here on the YM. Also, look, this is our harmonic strength index. Okay, that made an initial low right in that zone. Let me bring this up. There you go. That's noted by the pink arrow. All right, so that zone right here, even today we came down, we hit the 786 exactly at 23,702. And we're starting to turn up. So this is, I think, probably the clearest example of all markets right now that have a Gartley structure and show why, at a minimum, we look for a reaction here. The larger reversal, this consolidation, secondary retest here, is at a point of finality because of the structure. So let me, last time. And again, look at the B point here. I'm going to blow this up. There's the exact 618. There's the exact low. It's about 62%. Sorry, about 60%. But within our 3% tolerance. And again, the other two numbers we utilize is that equivalent ABCD and the 786. Sometimes we will allow for some the 886, and I actually prefer the 886 in the bat pattern. And the bat pattern is a different structure than the Gartley. But again, for today's discussion, we just want to keep it on the Gartley and just talk about this pattern and why it requires such a tight alignment of ratios. The other thing that I've really been stressing in some of the advancement of the measurements is that if we have a Gartley, our BC measurement, this is from B to C, multiply that by one of the harmonic extensions, in this case a 127, gives us that ideal level. And we don't really typically see Gartley patterns with a BC measurement that exceeds a 1618 by that much. The minimum constraint is even a 113. You might see a really strange ABCD where your C point's all the way to an 886. And I'll see if I can find one in a minute. But really important just to recognize that these tight numbers, and this is one of the most ideal Gartley patterns, almost perfect Gartley pattern right here. So let me really quick shoot over and let's just look at some of the Gartley matches on the monitor on a 60-minute. Here we have on that 60-minute All right, that was a crab pattern. That worked out, but let me look at that's generating two patterns. There's the bat and let's look at the crab here on the 60. There's a deep crab. No. Break it down to a 5-minute. If you guys want to look at a market or two, just type it into the chat box and I'll go another 5 or 10 minutes. Do you really want to pay attention to what's happening in that Dow? I think that's going to tell us everything we need to know. It's probably the clearest pattern, especially on the 4-hour chart right now of all markets. And let me just change that time interval. We'll go to a 5-minute here. There's a question about the software. Hey, Teddy. I'll outline that right at the end. Right now we're working off of the eSignal platform. And so you do need an eSignal account, and they've got their classic program, which is $35 for a 15-minute delayed most markets. And we have actually a free trial. So that might be one way to go and check it out. And I'll post that link here in a second. But let's just look at one or two more Gartley patterns. Now I'm breaking it down on a 5-minute basis. And in the scanner, I'm just working right off the fly. I don't even see anything here in let me run it one more time on a different interval. We did see the 4-hour in the Dow. Let me go to the dailies. And these daily levels, a lot of the patterns have been really crisp. Currencies recently been remarkable. No, I go down to 30-minute. And I see people drawing Gartleys a lot that end up getting exceeded, and I think it's something else that it has to be reckoned with. We're not, like I said, it's a tough pattern. There we go. I'll close this down. We finally got that. Here on a 1-minute basis, there's a Gartley on the euro. I don't normally trade off a 1-minute or 5-minute. I like the 15-minute. All right, there's a bat pattern, but where's the past Gartley? That's a different creature. That's a bat pattern at the 886. Don't have any other Gartleys. I'll go back to that YM really quick. Here on the 4-hour. Again, I'm looking for the close today. I think let's finish up with this. We want to see this close above this 23,860 level. And right now it's about 12:15 midday. Market has been quite volatile, and I expect it to continue to be so. Now look at this. Wanted to show you guys just this pattern that happened in this zone. That blue area, that's where the larger support zone is highlighted on the 4-hour chart. This would be the ideal spot to be looking for patterns in this larger zone. Despite that very nasty decline into the zone, here is one of the first patterns on a 5-minute basis where at least you see something. Now, it just gave you a quick reaction. We talk about that in the live sessions of why the first test matters versus the second, but this large blue zone, that's the big Gartley zone, and here we got a little butterfly. That's the kind of thing we want to be looking for. The other thing is looking for intraday triggers like HSI coming out in this zone. We don't even have anything on RSI yet. Last night, a little bit of an oversold. But this still needs time. And I would focus on this kind of a thing, looking for triggers inside that larger zone. But definitely keep an eye on the Gartley here. We'll follow up tomorrow with the live session at 9 o'clock. Everyone is invited to join. Check the basic members webpage. That will be available every Thursday as an open session. So finally, let me shoot over and quick show the software. You guys can access that software through my website. Just go to the store here. Now, I recommend that you go for the eSignal version. We are reformatting the NinjaTrader platform to be identical to eSignal. So you can go there, sign up, just click on here. It's going to take you to the sales page and over to our partner with Divergence Software. And here, just click on that link through my store and it'll take you to Divergence. Everything, all the information you need is here. But when you look at the scanner, I already showed you guys some of that. All of that's automatically generated. That's the kind of tool that you want. And then get signed up and access it, all those information here. So, dude, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. And I've also made myself available. Just allow 48 hours in advance, give me a heads up, and reach out to me through the website. But I've been talking to people about the program that want it and want to get involved with this now. Do access the installer through the webpage at Divergence Software, located here at senioranalyst.com. I'm going to put this on a post on my webpage, on my blog. And then finally, if you haven't signed up for the basic membership, access all that free material here. Go to harmonic-trader.com/basic-sign-up/ right here. And that'll get you started on everything. You'll see what we're doing, even access to the live sessions. And then when you really have an idea what this is all about, how powerful this is, come give a free trial. So we'll follow up next month. We'll do another Gartley Group. Appreciate everyone for joining. Thanks again. If you have any questions, send me an email at harmonictrader@harmonictrader.com.